greatest. Like you said.
Exactly. Now we're live. Welcome everybody to a live stream. We are going to do a lot of nice things from now on, going online with really nice collaborations between 7 Days to Go, Worldwide, and many other nice speakers. Today we're going to be talking about e-commerce and data, like basically what to do when it comes to marketing automation. So meanwhile you hop on and join our call, we want to welcome everybody and do a little introductions of our speakers today. So Sushil, maybe we can welcome people and say hi. Bam.
So
Here we are.
hello everybody. Thanks for joining us. And of course, first of all, I would say that this is indeed not a very good time in terms of lots of issues in the health side. And I think it's a good idea right now to stay safe and stay learning. And that's why we put it up. We converted our meetup to this online way. And so as you might have already know, we have been doing meetup quite often in Amsterdam. So together with Maria, with Nicolo, we have converted our today's meetup into online version and live stream. And also we have a special guest today as a speaker. He of course gonna introduce himself. So I'm gonna say one point that my topic of today's meetup is e-commerce marketing automation and growth. And I look forward sharing these insights and learning, and hopefully it will be the same experience as we used to have during our in-person meetup and lots of learning together. Over to you, Maria.
Okay, so about 7 Days to Go, a little introduction about what is 7 Days to Go and the expert pool that you're seeing there, really fun. So the expert pool is a collection of consultants. Basically, we gather everything that every business owner needs to make a professional step in what they are doing. So we have like over 9 categories on any type of business area, from ranging from marketing, business development, legal, taxes, coaching, everything that you need in one place. That's how we actually met with Sushil and decided to join forces, as he is a B2B marketing expert. And as he mentioned, we always host events on a regular basis, like offline events through meetup, workshops, and different types of methodologies in Amsterdam. But of course, now we're switching to online format to also make it like more accessible for everybody, not only in the Netherlands, but everywhere where we have experts worldwide. So that's it. That's the introduction. So after this, you're welcome to check our website and also to suggest topics that are relevant for you at the moment. We are managing now, we're like designing a new agenda for online events. So it's good that you know that these events are going to be continued and we want to hear from you. Thanks. So what's coming up next? Omar.
All right. Cool. So thanks for the introduction. My presentation today is going to be about doubling your revenue without spending any more on traffic. I'm checking out the technology for a second to make sure that everything is right. I see that the comments are coming in. So just checking everybody. Can you guys hear me right? See if there's any reaction on the chat. So first off, thanks Nicolo, thanks Maria, thanks everybody for inviting me, for having me over. I think I'm seeing some feedback, some Facebook messages coming in. So I'll just go in and dive and start with, yeah. All right, so basically doubling your revenue without spending more on traffic. My name is Omar Lovert. I'm a conversion optimization and e-commerce growth specialist. I created my first website back in 1998. I think back when Netscape Navigator was still a thing and ICQ was still being used. Anybody still knows Netscape Navigator? Anyway, in 98, I created two sites for an ISP, an internet service provider, and a charity. And I've been in the business for quite some time now. Over the years, helped a couple of other companies during that time. And, well, some name dropping here, but let's continue on. So who wants to double their revenue? Well, I have, I see some reactions. Just to have a little bit of a feeling, can you like just quickly say something about what you do or in what vertical or business you're in. So what you do and what kind of business you're in. That's also for me a little bit interesting to see what kind of people are on the call today. ICQ, yes, that's been a long time indeed. All right, as the comments come in, I'll continue. So do you think it's possible to double your revenue? Before we dive in how we're gonna do this, I wanna quickly go over 7 challenges I've seen a lot of companies and professionals have that actually prevents them from growing their business and from growing the revenue. First one, some of these might be known to you, some of them not. But the first one is actually no time for growth. I see that a lot of companies and people struggle from various teams. I mean, you're handling the phone, doing the meetings, managing the website, doing the advertising, coordinating with all the parts in the business. Sometimes even working in the warehouse to make sure that every packaging is going out, or managing the expectations of all the stakeholders, having multiple hats on and multiple roles. You don't have time to 100% focus on growth. So anybody feels that their work is something similar like this? It actually leads to a lot of frustration because you're not getting results, because you're getting bogged down by a lot of work without actually being able to focus specifically on doing the right things that actually will increase growth. Second challenge that I see a lot of companies and people run into is something that actually I shouldn't be talking about, but not being data-driven. And this comes from a couple of reasons. One of the reasons being that, they're used to doing things in a certain way or going with gut feeling. That's I see a lot. Another thing that I also see is that companies a lot of times they go into analytics and they check and they're noticing that, for example, the revenue doesn't match up with the back-end revenue, and they start distrusting the data. It actually stems from this issue that a lot of times there's a lot of bad data in there. So what is bad data? Bad data is actually data that is either missing, duplicate, inaccurate, or incorrect. And this actually should be fixed first thing. 95% of the analytics configurations that I look at have issues with them, from really simple issues to really complicated issues where you should better not use the data, because it's such a mess that the decisions you're going to make are not going to be accurate. Challenge number 3 that I see a lot of companies also have. They have a million ideas, actually too many ideas. They look at the competitor's website, they read some blogs, and boom, they have like 10 or 100 new ideas to add to the list. But a lot of times there is no framework in place to actually prioritize these ideas and be able to execute on them. And also, not all ideas are good ideas, as these guys will probably soon find out. The 4th challenge I see is a lack of knowledge and experience. So sometimes it's a business decision to work with interns, which also sometimes is just a decision to make. But what I see is the lack of knowledge and experience actually causes more mistakes to be made, which also costs you money. So that's a challenge: lack of experience and knowledge. Basically takes you longer to get results, and mistakes are costly. Challenge number 5, is basically winging it. You have doubts, uncertainties, because you've been doing it a certain way, but you don't know if you're missing out on anything, or if you could have done things better or faster, which actually also correlates with the previous step, the lack of knowledge. Challenge number 6 might be something that everybody has experienced. Increasing competition, which is basically, acquisition costs going up. You have your competitors that are either have bigger pockets or have more data or know how to use the data in a smarter way, in a way that they are able to acquire those customers better, faster, or cheaper than you have. So challenge number 7 is basically that the current approach doesn't work and you're not sure how to replace it. In short, it's running hard, but getting nowhere, or sometimes getting ejected out of the wheel. So, quick question. Do any of these sound familiar? I'll just see if any reactions come into the chat window. So the 7 challenges are: no time for growth, to really 100% focus on growth, not being data-driven enough, having too many ideas without having a framework to really prioritize it, lack of experience and knowledge, which costs you money, doubts because you're just doing some things, increasing competition, and the current approach not getting enough results. I'm getting some feedback that some people are actually having these issues as well. So how do we solve these challenges? Actually, the way to solve it is it's pretty easy, actually, but in reality, it's sometimes hard to do. The one thing you need to do is actually focus. Normally, I see that people try to do a lot of things at the same time, basically spreading themselves thin. You're trying to focus your energy in all directions instead of aligning all that energy into 2 or 3 specific things and being able to make and gain more track to get more results. So how to get focus? This is my formula. Use trustworthy data. Make sure that your data is correct and use trustworthy data to uncover your leaks and growth insights. Then go and prioritize all the findings that you have from that data and strategize your approach. From there on, focus the attention on only what's most important. And if you're not able to do it yourself, either get help or educate yourself or combine those 2. Get somebody in there to help you and educate at the same time. So with that covered, let's dive in. How do we double your revenue? There are only 4 ways that you're able to grow your revenue. So basically, I call these levers. And if there are any people, Dutch people in there, hefboom effect. With the levers, you're able to scale the efforts and get more results out of the effort that you put in. As the picture already shows, you're able to tilt the big rocks with little effort, or get more results from the effort you put in. So what are these 4 ways, or these 4 levers? Revenue is actually made out of these 4. First is purchasing frequency. So how many times do people buy something from you? It's also called retention. Second one is average order value. So how much is being bought? The third one is customers, and this is divided into conversion rate and traffic. And the formula for getting your revenue is basically multiplying these 4 levers, or these 4 ways. So frequency times average order value times conversion rate times traffic will determine what your revenue is going to be. So trying to double your revenue, the first and most common mistake that the common mistake I hear a lot, and the first thing that a lot of times comes to mind is that, yeah, we need to double our traffic. And I'm pretty confident most of you guys that are working in online already have traffic covered. You're already doing your Facebook, your Instagram, your social, your Google Shopping, some affiliate, some AdWords, SEO. Anybody here also doing something with TikTok ads already? Just out of interest? I'll see the comments come in a bit. So what if we try to achieve the doubling your revenue only with traffic? most probably you'll start pouring more money in and more traffic into a leaky bucket, but you'll start pulling in less relevant traffic as you scale up the advertising costs. Less relevant traffic will drive in as well. Conversion rate as a result will go down. Cost per acquisition will go up, and your ROI will also go down. And the way I see it is it's an uphill battle, because you will constantly have to create new ways to compete with others, because competition will also go up while you're doing this, making it even more costly. So the main thing what I see is that you're not in control of these networks. So you're basically buying your customers from somebody else's network, and a simple algorithm change, or like the Cambridge Analytica scandal, or new legislation being passed, which already lowers the things that you're able to do, impacts your costs, basically making you pay more for the same customers. So the way I see it, the best way to double your revenue is to use the first three levers that I talked about, being purchase frequency, average order value, and conversion rate. So I created an example, a web shop called HappyGoSocky, which sells the most amazing socks you can find out there. So let's use for this example, we have 100,000 visitors coming to this site. Conversion rate is currently 1%, and everybody just buys one time, because these are awesome socks. You don't have to wash them ever again. They don't break. You buy one and you can use them every day. So let's see how good you guys are in adding this up. 100,000 visitors, conversion rate 1%, purchasing frequency, and average order value 100 euros. How much revenue are we making here? Anybody want to take a shot? Let's see if the answers start rolling in. I think there's some delays on the chat answers, but I'll just move forward. For this shop, you will be making 100,000 euros with these numbers. So what if we try to increase the conversion rate only by doubling one of these levers? Is anybody here in conversion rate optimization? Let's see. Just trying to go through the comments to see if everybody is in CRO. Well, from my experience over the last years doing CRO, doubling your conversion rate, just this one lever, it's not impossible, but it's hard work. It's a lot of hard work. The way I see it is that, if you continuously work on it, and if your website is really crappy, then probably you'll be able to get the results really fast. Otherwise, it's a lot of hard work and trying to improve this conversion rate only this lever. So the way I try to look at it is, okay, what if we try to increase each lever by 30%, which sounds to me much more doable in a year period, for example. For the next in the next year, doing this, it seems to be something that is possible. But what would the numbers look like if we multiply these numbers now? You have 100,000 visitors, conversion rate has gone up with 30%, purchasing frequency with 1.3, also with 30%, and average order value is now 130 because we have really expensive socks. Total revenue will be 290,000, almost 220,000. So you more than doubled your revenue here by only doing 30% for each lever. So it's time to pop the champagne and celebrate this because you just doubled your revenue. So who thinks they can increase these three levers in the next 12 months? This is also correlates back to what I started with, getting focus in. If you would take this and divide these three elements in periods, they have 4 months to work on each one and to really have focus on specific goals on this. So how do we increase these three levers? I'll just briefly go over to a couple of things that we can do. If there are questions about any of these things, feel free to add them in the comments. So lever 1, increasing purchase frequency and increasing retention. HappyGoSocky is not a real company yet. I was thinking about maybe doing something with it. No, it's not a real company. Are you interested in buying really expensive socks? Mike? So most of the times what we see is the first order is not always profitable or the least profitable. Why? Because there are acquisition costs. So this is an example. It can vary on the brand, on the products that you're selling, but most of the time, because you have acquisition costs on the first order, the profits seem to be lower or non-existent. Basically, if you can get these customers back through a cheaper channel, most of the times you don't have acquisition or low acquisition costs in there. So one of the most effective or cheapest mediums that I know of to get your customers is email. And I've been using Klaviyo a lot for different web shops lately over the last years. Basically, I started off in CRO and started getting frustrated with all the things that people were not doing. Sometimes with less effort, getting more results on setting up some email flows. So we also started doing Klaviyo and marketing automation to help these web shops to grow their business profitably, which actually helps us increase or have multiple touch points and improve the customer lifecycle. So basically looking at the whole customer lifecycle and see at which points we can create email flows to help customers come back and buy more from us. So a quick example of the results that we got to give you an idea, where in a 6 months time we went from 3% attribution from email to about 38%, which is extreme growth. Just think about what it would mean for your business if almost 40% of the revenue comes from email. So the second lever, average order value. My main thing here is focus on the whales. Get to know them, know what makes them different, and try to get more of them. So there are some of the it's probably the whales, the people that buy a lot from you, which have big orders often with you. Try to interview them, try to understand why they are buying, who they are, what sets them apart, and then go out and try to get more of them. It's a small group, but most of the times it's a group that really has a big impact on your revenue, or is a big part of your revenue as well. And lever 3 is conversion rate. So conversion rate optimization, I think some of the slides kind of like missed out, but anyway, conversion rate optimization is basically not saying, okay, looking at a site and say, okay, we think we need to do this. You need to know what to do and where to, what's going wrong and why it's going wrong before you're able to do anything. I use a process for this, a framework. Basically, it's similar to a plan, do, check, act, or a build, measure, learn kind of like a loop, which continuously goes round and round. So it started with research. From the research, we go to the insights, try to get solutions, and then either implement the improvement or test it. I think the most important one is to do qualitative research, which is the what, the where, the when, the how much. basically looking at your data, past behavior to see what happened. And the qualitative side is basically talking to your customers, doing surveys, or just user testing, for example, to understand why it's happening or why it's not happening. Once you have these, you'll get more insights, and from these insights you start. You can now how do you say? You can then grow your business better. I'm seeing that some slides are like missing out, but not sure what happened there. One of the main things that I start off with is doing a funnel analysis. This is just something that you can do yourself as well. Try to see for every step of the way where people are falling off and where the highest drop-offs are. And try to make a calculation. If you could improve one of these steps by 10%, which one would have the biggest impact on your revenue? So to give an example of how this looks, a visual view of this funnel, what I've done is created a step-by-step funnel. People getting on a landing page that they're not bounced. People that had a product view, people that added to cart, people that went to the cart, people that went to the checkout, and people that bought. And then show how many people drop off at each point per device. And if you see that specifically on the checkout, we see that there's a big drop off on mobile. This will be where I would probably start focusing on, because something is not right. If people have gone through the whole checkout process and then more than 45% a drop off here, there's maybe something that's not going right. So that's a place to start investigating why it's happening. Another one that you can do is check the browser, do a cross-browser device analysis to see how these devices and browsers compare to each other, and where you can make the best or the biggest impact on revenue if you can fix something. So one simple check you can do to see if your analytics is up to speed is to see how much of a difference between revenue from the back end and analytics there is. If the difference is bigger than 10%, I would say something is off. Same goes for bounce rate. If everything is lower than, so bounce rate is lower than 10%, something is not right. These are just like averages. So basically, once we did the analysis, we get to the insights part. So we now know something, which we then prioritize. We start thinking about possible solutions, how to fix these, and create hypotheses around that. And that's either implement immediately, depending on how much traffic you have, or A/B test it to see if the version that we want to win also wins. So things to remember. Focus all your attention on what's most important. Use trustworthy data to uncover leaks, prioritize finding and strategize your approach, and get help. And double your revenue by increasing your purchasing frequency, average order value, and conversion rate. Just focus on these. The formula there. I'm just going to share this one. It's a free resource, an email course that I've launched with 8 emails, 8 email part course. It's in Dutch only. So if you only speak English, sorry, I haven't launched the English one yet. Well, that concludes my presentation for today. So any questions? I see a question there about what's the standard bounce rate of e-commerce business. It really depends on the vertical and what products you're selling and doing. It's hard to say a specific number on that. The lower, the better. And it's also about segmenting sometimes. So averages sometimes lie. It's also about looking at which traffic sources have the highest bounce rate and start investigating why that is. So, all right, cool. Sushil, yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Umar. Was pretty insightful and I'd say a lot of mathematics. So, but that's cool. That's exciting part because people love number, and every one of us or whoever. I mean, every sort of business does are having kind of aim on the revenue growth and planning. So it's very important to understand what goes inside it and what is important when it comes to setting up the right metrics, identifying the right channels, and also understanding what is the unit economics. So probably indeed this presentation was good to set up an ice break there. And in case any question after that, you guys can send us email or leave the questions there. We can also collect those questions and answer them via email. So I'm just gonna give you a little bit relaxed presentation, not so much mathematics, no much number crunching. So, but it's still pretty much link what Umar presented. So you got the numbers, you got the tactics, what you need to do, and here what I'm gonna present to you what are the automation techniques and tactics that one can use today to figure out some optimization implementation. So you find out the opportunities, you found out the gap. So what sort of system you need at backend to implement them and actually start testing them. So let's go to a bit of automation deep diving. I'm going to give as you might have, if you have never been in our one-off meetup, I just want to give a quick short introduction. My name is Sushil. I'm running Growec Media. It says HubSpot and Sales Monaco solution partner. We are in B2B marketing space and also B2B e-commerce and marketplace growth side. Today, this meetup be doing with along with 7 days to go, an expert pool, and also feel free to join this Facebook group and this meetup group, just similar in order to be updated with similar events and online and offline events and stay connected at a place where we constantly sharing information and knowledge on different aspect of the marketing and growth. So here is the agenda for today's presentation that we're going to cover marketing automation and primarily in connection with e-commerce store and what are the different segmentation technique, how much do you know about your customer, what are the omni-channel sales strategies or even channel that you can utilize today, and how important it is to have a personalization, whether it is communication or whether it is setting up personalized offers, and also finally increasing the stop conversion, a little bit of a kind of lighthouse focus there. You have already gotten a lot of insight from Omar, so that's good. So before we dive into in detail, just giving a quick thought and question to ponder is that when we start setting up our, say, marketing automation or go-to-market strategy, or even finding out um, say any of your paid or non-paid strategies, what is key things to look into it from the strategy point of view is the one, how much do we know as a team or as a business owner, as a e-store owner about our customer, right? And how clean and the data and contact list has been segmented. And have you noticed about their behavior, which is like how they are browsing and how they are interacting with your product pages, with your stores, etc. So let's go through the each of these section covering in detail. So this is the first part of your knowing about your customer. And just also do let me know if any one of you here running the e-commerce store on their own, or you are working in e-commerce marketing sites. So how often do you encounter a hypothesis for the automation? So if any thoughts there, drop me in the message, and of course I can cover it during the end of the presentation. Any thought of that? So what I'm my general observation about understanding, or what could be a potential source of understanding about your customers, is this is the this is available in this board. So do you notice very often how your customers are browsing and interacting with your products, with your pages, high value pages and low value pages, online behavior and activity in terms of their duration and time spent. So if you look at it whole perspective in from the analytics point of view, it's very common thing, right? You definitely want to measure and collect the session time and their entry point, exit point, and overall flow. But an important thing is, once you have noticed that, what do you do? Do you segment them? Do you create a plan, or do you uh, change your marketing or go to marketing strategy? So that's very important to understand, to a clear cut action plan once you have this data available. And second point is, it also depends cleanness of your data and your contact segment. So many of us definitely, doesn't matter whether you are in an e-commerce business or in a B2B segment, everyone is advocating about segmenting the data, clean data, and as collect as much information as possible about your prospect or suspect. But when it comes to e-commerce store, dynamic segmentation can be an important element to overnight or continuously build this segmentation. So if you are looking for ideas or thought, how I can, what could be the parameters, what could be the triggers which I should use to build a dynamic segmentation, and I can automate this segmentation process. So I have outlined here these 4 points. Based on that, on a very, on a very surface level, we can start building up our dynamic segment using these traffic sources, transactional data, and also the sources and some of the statistics. You already got to know how it is important, your conversion rate, average order value. These are very important parameter when you go to design your conversion rate strategies. So if I'm not sure about the system that you are using for automation, this is a screenshot that I have put here, is from a tool called Sales Manago. And this they have a unique solution for the e-commerce automation and optimization. And the feature which is very useful for e-commerce store marketing automation is the dynamic segmentation from the day one. If you got any question there, of course, drop me in the chat. I will definitely give you a little bit more information how, in case you are thinking about some initial parameters or triggers to build a dynamic segment. Second point of the meetup, this presentation, of course, is how we set it up a omni-channel sales process. And more or less, we definitely know about the behavior of our customers and prospect. Depends upon the, say, whether it is a lower, say, a lightweight product with a lower side of average order value, or whether it is a high ticket value product. So say if you are selling a socks, probably the one that Umar already showed you, probably you can have a better or say highly likely of making touch points at different channels, say Facebook or say Instagram or say Twitter even, and your audience are finding you from different consumer, heavily consumer oriented channels. And it's for you to think of what channel I need to prioritize, and in contrast to something where your product item average order value is super high, probably you have fewer channel to engage with. So in order to select your preferred channel path, of course, you need to keep in mind is the average order value, and also likelihoodness how receptive your customers are in terms of their channel. So in this board, what I am trying to present is the all possible channels. And when we design a strategy to say a push, web push versus a live chat or SMS from your store, or maybe for retention, or maybe your first onboarding offer, this has to be clearly selected and implemented. And once you have a centralized automation system in your backend where your store is connected to, it's fairly easy to manage. And by having your deep profiling information, your customer information, and that will help you to implement this omni-channel sales strategy. Here is the one view of a, a graphical representation when it comes to draw this omni-channel strategy. So first of this strategy goes to finding the triggers, that what kind of trigger are important when you will start a omni-channel sales process. If is that the activity is being done by your prospect, which are commercial intent, or is the activity is done just for engagement, and what kind of task that will you will include in those triggers. Is there will be any sequences, right? Is there will be any workflows to send a reminder of abandoned cart, or say someone has forgot to check out, and based on the cases, right? So the more you know about your customer, their buying behavior, purchase ideas, or history, then it will be more easy to select which channel they should be, given a reminder of to come back and complete the process. So let me know in the case if someone is already using this kind of system within your e-commerce store, or and if that has been helping you in boosting the sales or conversion. So next point, of course, that we talk in agenda is how important it is to have a personalized approach, uh, be it communication, be it offer. You can see here that most of the information or most of these personalization strategies is having a dotted connection with the how much you know about your customer, right? Do you have a progressive profiling activated there? Are you constantly collecting information, their transactional history, their buying behavior, time spent, etc.? And based on that, we will be able to automate some of our personalization um, elements in terms of their to boost the engagement, or to boost the retention, or to win back. So some of the customer have already done some activities but kind of not coming back, so you can categorize them in a win back campaigns, or you are the first timer campaigns, or the one who is just browsing, but you can convert them by giving a right offer at right time. So as I said, what is the main objective of the personalization is when you have right information, then you will be able to wrap up a right offer for a right person, and you will communicate at right time. So that is the important to have a good history, good channel selection, good offer, and good personalization. There is this, I just made it a simple recommendation basis personalization. What you collect in the back end, the more you collect the information in the back end, the more your personalization will be effective. So say it is whether it is going to be one-on-one offers, or it is something your store is smart enough, let's say using Shopify or something else, or an external tool, namely Sales Manago, you will be able to use the advanced techniques of artificial intelligence or machine learning to continuously learn about the buying behavior and purchase history about a potential customer at your store, and then your automation system will keep learning it and start recommending them the right product at right time. I get, I think that's a bit of advanced uh, approach in automation process. And in order to leverage these advanced technologies at the best, definitely some one-on-one offer need to be implemented at first. So the more experience we gain by implementing one-on-one offer using the customer's data, saying you have a data history of 30 days, or purchasing or browsing history of someone to 30 days to 45 days, and based on those data and micro data, you have segmented and designed some offers on a very personalized note, and start giving that offers. And over the week or so, we will be able to know how that personalization has actually converted, and does that increase or does that boost the uh, lifetime value of that customer in a 45 or 50 days or not. So having this kind of experiment or hypothesis set and tested, it will it will make our path to go to the AI or machine learning driven recommendation even better. So moving from here, I just want to check if you have any question on the personalization or any one-on-one offer within your store. Drop me a line here if you have any experience on implementing one-on-one personalization within your store. And also content personalization is one other point that you can dynamically change your content on your product detail pages based on the browsing history or based on the purchase history of a particular prospect or customer event. So going forward to the last point of increasing the soft conversion, basically this is the mix of everything that we have talked about: learning about the customer, creating a personalization strategy, creating the channel strategy, and then mix and match, say permutation and combination of different information that you have collected over the time. And then here it is the point that which one of these gonna work for your type of store, type of audience. And if you happen to be successful identifying any of these, then just strategy is to double it down. So if one or two of these strategies works very well for you, probably you would like to do it more often, and for all type of segments of customers that you have built up. Here is an example of a simple product, which is like a combination, a combo of product with accepted standard set of discounts versus one product where you are giving discount on that one, or especially successful for the first time buyers or some first time visitor to your store. So this is just in a hypothetical scenario. Would you like to set up your personalized store page where you are giving a particular offer on a one single product versus on a combo product? And this kind of personalized pages can be automated once you have a system. In the marketing automation side, of course, before we set it up on an automation basis, such a product detail page, we got to have capture a lot of data, purchase history, transactional history, and a lot of their browsing behavior into the database by our dynamic segmentation. And then once we trigger such a combo product testing or a single product versus multiple product hypothesis, this can be tested to a range of segmented users within your database. So it's not like you have to do it manually one by one to each segment, but rather you can roll out to the increasing list of your within your database. So with this, this is a optimization process when basically wanna increase very top line optimization, say on a bit single objective of conversion, and what are the triggers that you can pick it up. So do you wanna set it up a personalized dynamic one-on-one offer for your abandoned cart versus product reviews people have requested, and or anything that you want to assign a progressive discount on a on a range of products. Say one person has finished a transaction, and you want to loop in uh, to to the customer by giving a progressive discount in a range of 30 days or in a range of 45 days. So any of those hypotheses or techniques, of course, you're not going to use it all together. Otherwise, the customer going to feel overblamed about it. But what is important here is to be very cautious and select with any one of these optimization strategies for your vendor code versus progressive discount versus automated notification on the favorite product, and that you have brought in discount on that product. So at a time, and then and over in a range of 30 to 45 days, and that will give historical data which one is working better, and if there is a lead, a significant lead in any of those strategies when it comes to optimizing the purchasing process, and does have a direct impact on the top line revenue. So it's very cautious stuff, and of course, this gonna come to very handy when we have a lot of data, say a lot of data point or at least data point has been already collected. And hopefully this, if someone of have you already tested this one, to let me know if what has been your experience, or if you have any question, drop me a line there. We can answer you later. So that was the 4 points which I identified very quickly to present in relation with the data and conversion rate optimization methods and tactics that has been shared by Umar. Of course, there is one disclaimer here that you definitely need to have a very strong system behind it to capture and set it up, this kind of automation. What was the name of the dynamic segmentation tool? So I just saw your question. So this is a sales manago. You can look at it on the. Maybe I can. Is it possible to comment here? No. So the name of the tool is Sales Manago. They have multiple other marketing automation features, but what is more striking out one is the e-commerce marketing automation feature. So and then within that, all the recommendation, dynamic segmentation, and processes are available. So with this, I concluded the presentation on this one. You guys will receive definitely the presentation in via email, and also we have one more announcement to share with you, that in coming month we're gonna do a workshop on 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 um, how to build up the inbound funnel and do the automation with it. That's more on the growth marketing and funnel building workshop. And we're going to share you a small form if you would be interested in that, to share your interest, and accordingly you will get an invitation to sign up or join the workshop session. It's going to be a small workshop session with 10 to 15 maximum, and also if you have joined it and you have not shared your email in our meetup form, then drop your email ID. We will share you the form for the inbound funnel build up session as well in the comment. With this, I think this is it for today's meetup. If you have any question and comment, please do share in a chat, and we can also answer those in via either on the Facebook or also directly can answer you via email. That's it.
Okay, guys, this was everything for today. We're going to continue sticking to our online agenda. So again, if you have any suggestions about topics that you're interested or ways that we can go in a deeper level around marketing and e-commerce specifically, please also share it via the comments. And make sure that you fill in the form for going in depth into this workshop. Thank you for our speakers, Sushil, Omar, for everybody for being there. Just make sure that you just like our page. We're going to be posting everything in the upcoming days. We're also going to download this presentation and upload it into our YouTube channel, so you can also have it, not only the slides but the full presentation. So make sure to follow us and to share your email with us for upcoming events. Thank you for that.
And I would say thanks again for joining us. Please stay in touch.
Okay.
All right.
We're going to